What is going on, everyone? DSP here, and welcome to yet another edition of the Hateful Truth video game reviews. Today we are going to talk about a game that really I didn't know what to expect when I first started this one up. And I heard a lot about it. I heard a lot of people had been asking me to try this game out when it had just come out, which is probably about a month before when I actually did have a chance to play it. And I actually read a couple of game reviews. I was still like, I'm on the fence. But anyway, it is an Xbox Live Arcade downloadable title, and the name is Bastion. Now, Bastion, what is this game? First of all, it's a hack and slash RPG. It doesn't have many role-playing elements to it besides the whole leveling up, getting new weapons, upgrading your weapons, and therefore, using those weapons to go to the next stage and survive in this hack and slash, but also shooting environment. There are many projectile weapons in this game. The perspective is kind of weird. It's hard for me to describe. It's not a top-down. It's not first-person or third-person. It's more like, if you've ever seen Final Fantasy Tactics or Disgaea, a game like that, where it's kind of like, almost looks like a checkerboard that's at an angle, and you're kind of the camera over here, and you're watching everything from behind. That's pretty much how this game looks. And all the graphics are artwork, hand-drawn artwork in high definition, so the game looks really nice. Yeah, it is basically, at its core, a hack and slash RPG. The story, it actually throws you straight into the game when you start this game and just kind of confuses you a little bit. Until maybe about, I'd say, the last third of the game, you're really unsure of everything that's going on, and the reason is, you're not actually living the story. What's happening is, you're controlling the character on the screen while there's this omnipotent narrator who is describing everything that's going on in the game. And so it's be funny because you'll be fighting some guys, all of a sudden the narrator will say, and the kid took out his weapon and struck the monster several times, or something like that. Or maybe, you'll be destroying things to try to look for items hidden in the scenery, and the guy will say, oh, and then he just raged around for a little bit, which is pretty cool and pretty funny when he's actually narrating your every move in the game. So, the game starts out, something's happened to your world, okay? There is some kind of a calamity, whatever that may be, that has destroyed much of your world, fragmented it. It's no longer a complete world. And it's funny because as you start to walk on this crooked plane, the ground actually comes up from this bottomless pit and starts forming around you. So it's really unique the way that this game comes together. There's no, it's not a set map where you're just crossing it. As you walk, you uncover new paths as the paths actually fly up out of this pit and form paths in front of you. You have to be very careful, though, because in 99% of the places, you could fall over the edge, and if you fall over the edge, you lose some life. And so what ends up happening is you find a hub, or they call it in this game a bastion, which is kind of like your home base for most of the game. And over the course of the game, you find crystals and items that upgrade this home base, so you get things like a blacksmith where you can upgrade your current weapons, and an arsenal where you can equip different weapons. Like if you don't want the sword or you want the club, you can change it around at the arsenal. An item shop, and so on and so forth. There are all these different things in the game. And as the game fleshes out, you think you may be the only survivor, then you actually find out that the narrator is a real person, and then you actually find a couple more characters throughout the game that add to the story. Outside of just the very basic, go to a new map, go through, kill monsters, get loot, etc. that you would expect from a hack and slash RPG. There's a couple other cool elements. Every time that you find a new weapon, a training ground actually opens up for that weapon, and there are 3 levels of challenges on each of these training grounds. So for example, if you have the mace, the challenge is you must destroy 100 environmental items within, say, a certain set amount of time. And depending on how quickly you do it, you'll unlock different prizes. Now, some prizes will allow you to upgrade your weapons even further. Some prizes will actually give you a special ability for that weapon in combat. So I remember, for example, there was I'm trying to think of a special ability that I really liked. Oh, there was a katana, but it looks like a katana. They call it a machete. It's pretty fast, but it's not very damaging. But if you unlock the special ability that you can actually store 3 of at a time, you can do a super powerful swipe that could take down maybe a sub-boss or a mini-boss with 1 hit. So you've got regular attacks, you've got the special abilities that are for your weapons. You also will find projectile weapons during the game, such as guns, cannons, mortars. I mean, you name it, there's all different kinds of guns in this game. And so it's really cool to not only go through the campaign of the game and unlock the different story pieces of it, but also to go to these training grounds and to practice with your weapons, unlock the challenges, and in turn level up the weapons. So what else is there to do? There are challenges in the game, and what that means is that you could just beat the game, run right through it, but there's are challenges such as things that will give you achievements, maybe on Xbox Live or trophies on PlayStation Network, that are all in-game achievements. So it might be like upgrade 5 unique weapons, or find 15 different enemy types. And once those things happen, you actually go and you get the achievement. They call them vigils in this game, and you get bonus currency. And currency, again, you can use to upgrade your weapons. You can use it to buy items that could upgrade your weapons. You can actually use it to buy items that enhance yourself. So maybe it'll give you more health potions that you can hold at a time, or maybe it allows you to revive after you die. There's all this kind of stuff. Again, all pretty typical RPG elements. I really like the art style of this game. I think the art style is beautiful. And like I said, I've played Final Fantasy Tactics. I've seen Disgaea, so it's that kind of anime style, HD, high definition drawing, and I really like that. The gameplay itself, the core gameplay of hacking, slashing, dodging, using your shield to parry attacks, using projectiles to kill enemies that are further away, etc., is pretty interesting. I really did enjoy the combat gameplay of this game. I have no complaints about the combat gameplay of this game. I think it was spot on, and I really think that they put a lot of time and effort into it for what it is. And keep in mind, this is an Xbox Live Arcade game. That is only 1,200 Microsoft points. This isn't a $60 retail release. And going along that vein, the one gripe I really have with the game is that it's just far too short. The game is about maybe 6 hours, maybe a little bit over 6 hours long, if you take the time to do all the vigils, to beat all those training grounds for the different weapons. And because the game is so short, it really feels like the last third of the game is very rushed, even to the point where, like, you start finding every single map that you go to, you keep finding new weapons, to the point where, okay, so on this map I was doing something or whatever, I found a new weapon, it was a cannon. I really like this cannon. So you use that cannon until the end of the map. You go back to the Bastion, which is your home base between levels, and you say, okay, well now I have money, let me upgrade the cannon. So you upgrade the cannon or whatever, and then you say, alright, I want to go to the next level. You go to the next level, uh-oh, you found the new gun, and now the new gun takes over for the cannon, and you're like, man, I really wish I would have had the opportunity to use that cannon in 2 to 3 levels, really flesh out its abilities. I didn't. The game kind of seems like it's rushing now, giving you new weapons every map. And really, once you beat the game, you realize that's because they were trying to wrap it up near the last third of the game. It was really close to the end of the game, and when you were getting all these weapons. So that really is my one gripe. My one major gripe with the game. It's too short, and the last third of the game seems way too rushed, way too compact. But then again, keep in mind, this is an Xbox Live Arcade game. It's very possible that maybe they had a bigger, wider scale game plan, and they didn't get a chance to really flesh that out in the game because they realized, hey, look, we have a small budget, a small number of people developing this game. We can't make a 20-hour masterpiece on the budget that we have. This isn't going to be a $60 retail game. And actually, excuse me, because I'm burping right now. Actually, I kind of wish, my honest opinion, I kind of wish this was made a $60 retail game, because I feel that there was enough here with the combat. They could have thrown in a whole bunch more of enemies, give you a chance to use the weapons that you find in several different levels, and maybe even throw in some more weapons. I think the game could have been better than it was. It could have had more characters. It could have had more story to flesh out. And that's my only one complaint. I think it was too short. This game should have been given the opportunity to become a full retail release and be like a 20-hour long game, and I think people would have liked it a lot more. For what it is, it's very sweet while you're playing. If this is your kind of game, if you like RPGs that are action-oriented, if you like hack and slash games, you're going to like this game, okay? If you're more into a game that has a really, really complex, involving story, if you're into a game that's longer, you know what I mean? This is not going to be your cup of tea. Especially the story, because I can say that the story, although it is interesting, when you finally get to it, like I said, you really don't understand what's going on till the last third of the game. And at that point, they just start rushing the story so much that it's really, you feel like someone's going, wrap it up behind the people who are developing the game. And they're like, oh fuck, we got to hurry up to finish this game in time. or finish it within the amount of time constraints and budget that we have. And so really the story, I think, is a weak part of the game because it doesn't have enough time to be fleshed out. But that being said, I did like Bastion. I thought it was a really interesting game. The music, there's actually a couple songs with lyrics in this game, and the songs sound very beautiful and match the tone of what's going on in the game at that time. And I really did enjoy the game. So here's the thing. When you're rating a game that's an Xbox Live Arcade game, it's different. Again, if you're going to be a legitimate reviewer like I am, you have to scale the game in comparison to all the other games that are out there, but you also have to scale it by the purchase price. I understand this isn't a $60 release, and that's the only reason the game was under 7 hours long. If this had been a $60 release and was that short, I would be fucking raging and saying, what, are they out of their minds? There just wasn't enough content to warrant that purchase price. But being that it was only 1,200 Microsoft points, I could say it is a fair amount of content for what you pay. And so saying, I like the gameplay, I like the graphics and the music, I think that it's a good bang for the buck, considering that it's so cheap because it's an Xbox Live Arcade game. And the only negatives being that, number one, I felt the game was too short. It should have been a longer game if they had the budget and they were allowed to make it a $60 release, which obviously they were not. And the fact that, you know, because it's rushed, a lot of the weapons don't get to be used a lot, and the story really gets rushed in the last third of the game. Those being the only two negatives that I have to say about this game, I have to give it a pretty fair rating. I'm going to say it's not spectacular. It's not the best hack and slash I've ever played. It's also far from the worst. So I'm going to give this game a 7.5 out of 10. And as you know, my reviews are very truthful. If I'd given it an 8 or above, I would have been saying this is an outstanding game. You should run out there and buy it right now. If I'd given it lower than, say, a 6, that means it was pretty average or crappy. I'm saying it falls nicely in the middle. If you want a game to kill some time, if you want a game that you don't have to invest too much into it to enjoy it, because you know it's not going to be overly long, but also it's not overly complicated. It's pretty much simple but fun and rewarding gameplay. And if you like the role-playing elements that are in this game, I think this game is right up your alley. If you're looking for anything more than that, I really think you're going to be disappointed if you try out Bastion. So Bastion, from me, gets a 7.5. Alright, so that's it for this edition of The Hateful Truth. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.